Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's President-elect Training Seminar. For those whom I'm not yet had the pleasure of meeting, my name is Steve Warren. I'm currently serving as the co-chair of the District Leadership Education Development Team, or LEAD, if you've got your Rotary acronym bingo card out in front of you. I think PETS is today's free space. And now, to get our seminar officially underway, it's my pleasure to introduce our current District 6630 Governor, Larry Lohman.
Good morning. It is my pleasure today to call this district PETS election or PETS training seminar to order. And I'd like to introduce this year's district governor-elect, the district governor for 22-23, David Jones.
Good morning, everyone. My name is David Jones. I am a member of the Northampton Cuyahoga Valley Club, and I will be your district governor during your year as president. I want to thank everybody for their flexibility. I know we were going to meet today in person, but given the closures that we had throughout Cuyahoga County, we weren't able to do that. And I appreciate your flexibility in going here to the virtual environment. I'm excited to have everybody here today. We have most of the clubs, and it's going to be an exciting program that we've put together. I want to thank the planning committee for taking the time and working through this over the last couple of months, as well as the facilitators that will be in your rooms today to help lead discussion as we go into the different breakouts. We have a lot of district leaders and chairs on to the call today, so do take a moment and have a conversation with them if you can. If nothing else, get their contact information. If you have further questions, that's a perfect time to do that because you may not have seen them in the past. So who am I? My name is David Jones, as I said. I am a military brat. My father was in the military for over 30 years. And for me, that was 20 years of it, from traveling throughout multiple states. I lived in 5 different states here in the United States, and I've also lived in 5 different countries throughout the world. Most of those country visits were 3 years, so I got a lot of time, not just in that country, but visiting other countries nearby. So that international aspect really stands out for me, and it works well. I'm also a retired educator. I taught math for over 15 years. And then I transitioned to the Summit County Educational Service Center, where I was a math consultant. I was also a technology consultant. And for the last 10 years of my career, I also added on to that as being the director of building operations and technology through that organization. That's a little bit of my background. I do have 3 of my kids are working for the Cleveland Clinic. My son is a nurse practitioner there. My son-in-law works for the Cleveland Clinic as a respiratory therapy. So as you can imagine, throughout this COVID time, they've been quite busy. My daughter-in-law works for the Cleveland Clinic in child oncology, which I can't imagine working in that, but we try. My daughter worked for Autism Speaks for 5 years, and she just stepped out of that position to go work for the Providence House. So you'll probably have, if you're in the Cleveland Club, a little bit of contact from her, because I understand that you guys have done work with the Providence Club in the past, and we truly appreciate that. My wife, Georgianne, and I both look forward to having you as our clubs. We're going to be visiting. We look forward to serving the clubs throughout the district, and I think meeting individually with different places in the community that we might be working with. We have some exciting breakout sessions today, and we have some exciting speakers. We hope that you guys enjoy that time. And we're going to talk a little bit more about events that are coming up at the end that you can get involved with. Thank you. Now it's my turn to actually serve you today. So we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance, and if you would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. For a moment of inspiration, Katie Settleman from the Hudson Clock Tower will give us our moment of inspiration. Thank you, Katie, and good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me here. I'm thrilled to be on this journey with all of you. Over the last week, I've been thinking about the moment of inspiration that I'd like to share. And when it comes to Rotary, it really has to be my participation in a program called Leadership Hudson. In Hudson, I was pretty new to the area. I was recruited into the program, and it's a 9-month program where you get to meet people in the community, volunteer organizations, city staff. It was a real eye-opener to my community, but it was also an eye-opener to Rotary and the good work that it does, not just in our own communities, but what it does across the world. It was really the jumping point for me to get involved in Rotary, and I'm so thankful that I did it. It's been a source of friendship, camaraderie, and just an introduction to all the good works that Rotary does. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. At this time, we'd like to take a moment to do some introductions of our district leaders and our theme. As you know, recently I sent out an email that introduced our theme for President-elect Jennifer Jones. Jennifer is the first woman president to be the head of Rotary International in 117 years. And that is quite a landmark. And we're going to look forward to having her at our All Ohio Pets this year. As you know, Rotary District Governor Larry Lohman just introduced me. District Governor nominee Julie Brandel is also on the call this morning, as well as District Governor nominee designate Dale Smith. Thank you for joining us today. I'd like to thank all the assistant governors. Please take a moment to take a look at the slide if you're not familiar with your area and who your district assistant governor might be. They are the people that will help you throughout your year, as well as you might have already been involved in some of their meetings. And I appreciate all that the district governors do. Thank you. And as we said, the Leads Committee, they are the ones that help us develop all the training that we've been working through with you. I appreciate all they do. And the Leads Committee is still working to help prepare for our district leadership assembly, as well as the district conference. And they are a very busy group, and we thank them. I'd like to now introduce Ryan Knotts, our co-chair for the Leads Committee. Ryan?
Good morning, everyone. Happy Saturday. Happy frigid Northeastern Ohio Saturday here this weekend. So I hope that you're all excited. I know it's obviously different being online and probably never envisioned this for your year as club president. And hopefully this will change. Things are always changing. But I know that several of you have already attended 3 sessions in the fall. And as Kate said, this is a journey. This is a process. So this morning we have our District 6630 Presidents-elect Training Seminar. We have at least 3 more events that we hope that you can make it to, starting with a multi-district pets in February on public image, public relations. And then we also have, as far as Ohio Pets in Columbus in early March. And then finally, as far as the district conference and district leadership assembly in April. But this is a journey. Our goal is to help you prepare for your year as club president and think about what are the things that you want to do? Who do you want to involve? How are you going to be successful? How will you overcome some of those obstacles that will inevitably come up, i.e. change? So this morning we have several things as far as we want to touch upon. Our goal is to get you talking, to get you engaged, but also get you to think about what it is you need, what you can do, and how you can be successful. So we have 4 sessions this morning. The first one is going to be about your Rotary story, your Rotary moment, and the importance of as far as why that is to communicate that. So we will do that session. Session number 2, we're going to talk a little bit as far as being an effective club president, and our lead co-chair, Steve Warren, will lead you through that one. These will be 2 facilitated sessions where we will break you out into small groups and then bring you back into the larger group. Session number 3 is a fantastic session facilitated by past District Governor Beverly Strzinski, and on working with volunteers. And this is a session that's always been widely recognized within our district as being a positive. And again, thinking about how do you work with Rotarians? And then lastly, we'll try and wrap it up, talk about some of the available resources, a little bit more about some of the upcoming programs, and close out the session for today. So with that, we are going to break you off here into session number 1. At least I hope so, Cheryl. I know we're a little bit early and running ahead of schedule, but we might be able to finish early. So ask yourself, why are you a Rotarian? Why did you join Rotary? What initially got you involved? Were you asked? Are you a family member? Did you seek it out? What is it about your involvement with Rotary that makes you most proud? And for most of you, being elected a club president, that should be a part of it, but there might be other things that you feel positive about. And then one more question here. What does it mean to be a Rotarian? And it's important to think about this for yourself. It's important to think about this as your club. What is your club's Rotary story? But more importantly, how do you communicate that? How do you raise awareness of Rotary for prospective members? How do you key in on why someone joined Rotary and why they should stay a Rotarian versus leaving? So we are going to send you to breakout rooms pretty quickly. You probably should be in a room for probably about 5 to 7 people total. But this will be an opportunity for probably about 20 minutes to talk through that. I assume that we have most of the people. I hope that was a good discussion. Maybe something that you might have liked a little bit more time, but certainly something to give useful thought to. So I need a few volunteers. Otherwise, I will have to revert to my education background and call on people. But I need a few volunteers. Why did you join Rotary? You can raise your hand. As far as you can unmute yourself. We're not that formal. But why did you join Rotary? Rick.
Well, I joined Rotary back in 1988. We moved to a new community, didn't know many people. My father and I started a business and he was in Rotary. And, you join Rotary just to be part of the community. And over time, we've made lifelong friends. It was also very good for my business over time as people got to know who you are and, what you do. So I joined Rotary for that, and I stick around for Rotary. I'm retired because we have a lot of friends. I really love helping the community and doing lots of things. I was telling my group, I don't even live in Strongsville anymore. I live in Huron, Ohio, so I'm not even in the district. And I drive an hour every Friday to Strongsville for the Rotary meeting, and I drive an hour back home to Huron. I'm in Florida now, and I go to the Rotary Club down here. It's just a great way to network. They have a big fundraising event down here. My wife and I volunteer for that every year. But Rotary gives back to you if you give to Rotary. So if you're active, you'll have a good time and just keep plugging at it. But I joined Rotary for the right reasons. And that was, for my personal, the family, and also for business. And it's worked out and paid off very well and still love it.
Excellent. Thank you, Rick. Jackie Minotis, why did you join Rotary?
Simply because I was asked. At the time, the club was decreasing. The membership was decreasing. I was doing business with a young man who was determined to grow the club, and there was like 7 or 8 of us that joined at one time. And I ended up just made such great friends. It was a warm feeling. It was welcoming, and service projects. When I first joined, I was involved with the Chamber of Commerce. And I had said I would not be able to make every week. I can only do every other week between business and my chamber. And I ended up going every week. And because I drank the Kool-Aid basically, and was the people and the service projects.
Thank you, Jackie. Anybody else? We have other questions, but anybody else as far as why they joined Rotary? Go ahead, Gail.
Hi, Ryan. We joined Rotary. We had just moved to Pflugerville, Texas, and wanted to find a way to get involved in the community. And friends of ours from the Honda Goldwing Club invited us, and we thought that was a good way to get involved in the community, and it was an excellent way.
Excellent. Terry, you have why you joined Rotary?
Terry, you're muted.
Sorry, I thought I hit that wrong button. All right, so mine was a combination of, I was asked, my father was a Rotarian and I got to start, it is a Rotary Youth Exchange student, and it was such a life-changing experience. When I came back after college to my club, I wanted to help them get it going because it was kind of faltering, and they said, here, join and you can have it. And that's kind of how I got my start. And yeah, youth and the exchange, international stuff has been my passion ever since.
Great.
So I think it's a good way to try to get young people, hopefully, those avenues.
Yeah, definitely. That's an area that we want to focus on. All right. So, as far as we think about why we joined Rotary, and for a lot of us, there's multiple reasons, as far as that we might have had, or a singular reason that's different from other people. What is it about your Rotary involvement that makes you most proud? What is it that gives you joy, that sense of pride? Ashley Gay.
Hi, I know for me, it's that my club is very, very active, and we are most motivated by problems and challenge. I shouldn't say problems, but challenges. So for us, if the town needs something, if a student needs something, if an organization needs something, once we are given that task, our whole club comes together. And it's not that everybody is donating money, it's services, it's ideas, it's connections. So for us, that's, I think, the most exciting part of my club that keeps me motivated is we do these amazing things and nobody's doing it to get credit. Nobody's doing it because they have to. They're doing it because deep down, it's what they really want to do and they know it's the right thing.
So that sense of togetherness and accomplishing something. What's the name of service project for your club that you love?
There's a lot of them, but one of them I think was the food bank. The food bank in Strongsville was displaced, and within a year we raised enough money and resources to build a brand new food bank. And we still support the food bank. So it's not like we make it and we leave it. It's something that we continue to support. Same thing, Camp Cheerful, or I think it's now called the Achievement Center, for a camp with children with disabilities. We have done a ton of work with them over the last many years. We refinished the wintergreen cabin in the metro parks. I think, anytime there is a need, if enough people get behind it, we make it happen.
Great. Anybody else? Ken.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. I think for me, Ashley kind of touched on it, but for me, it's giving back to the community without an agenda. I mean, the agenda is to help the community and really nothing else. So for me, what I'm most proud about Rotary is we're here to help. It's not a selfish reason. It's not an agenda item. It's basically pure and simple giving back to the community. And that's definitely what makes me the most proud and gives me meaning. So.
Excellent.
Yep.
Dave.
Yeah, I think that was really well said, Ken, because I feel very similarly about, it's not really one thing. It's that ways, whether it's literacy projects for youth, which, a lot of different members have passion for, or helping seniors in need, or those with disabilities. It's just, no agenda. Wherever there's a need, Rotary usually is there, trying to come up, like Ashley said, with a solution for how we can help and improve the lives of others. So that's usually the response to why Rotary.
Thank you, Dave. All right, one more question here. What does it mean to be a Rotarian? I am getting the music background from someone right now, I feel like.
I'll share on that if it helps.
All right, thanks, Fred.
I think one of the most important things of being a Rotarian is it really comes back to beg that question is, are you your brother's keeper? And I think Rotarians reflect that we show that you are. You really need to help your community. Being part of a community, helping one another is good. In our club, it's small, like many of the ones that are on the line this morning. And there's many projects like scholarship at our local schools, Safety Town, which began with our club, and it's now been ongoing for approaching 4 decades without falter. You know, we made it through COVID and helped during that. We crossed the threshold of over 6 figures in scholarships for local kids through school for college. Also help on the international things. But I think it again just reflects that a group of people can do a lot of good for the community when brought together with the right focus and mission.
Thank you, Fred. Anybody else?
Parker's got his hand up.
For me, I think that, what does it mean to be a Rotarian? It's this whole concept of service above self. And I think that, I grew up in really small environments and small intimate environments. And so I think that it's this whole, concept of reaching back and giving forward. And so I think that the beauty of Rotary is to actually, be an active participant in the change that we want to see in our communities, and we need to see in being in those particular spaces at those times to move that agenda forward.
Thank you, Parker. I know it's kind of hard to see everybody in the gallery mode, but I think I saw Lisa with her hand up also.
I think for me, I have a great Rotary Club. I'm always bragging about how much I love my Rotary Club. And what I love about it is with Rotary, I feel, at least in my club, and I'm sure others feel this way, you can really just be yourself. And we have a lot of very different personalities, but everyone is accepted and welcomed. And I compared in our breakout session, I like to think Jago West Rotary is like the 95 Indians. It's just a really special group of people. And we've got our Albert Bells, we've got our Kenny Loftons, and we need all of those people on the team to make it great. And I like to think of myself as the Omar Vizquel, just saying.
Excellent sports reference.
Sorry, should I go?
Yes.
Okay. I think that what means to be a Rotarian is just showing up, and not just. During the pandemic, we only have about 20 members in our group, but we met every week by online, and we never missed a meeting. And our regular attendance was between 15 and 17 people. And a couple of people didn't have technical asks, weren't able to join by computer. Others were sick, but that's a pretty good attendance. And not only did we continue our regular services, we decided to do a shredding event for all those people cleaning out during COVID. So I think that symbolizes that it's showing up, it's seeing the problem and doing something about it, whether we're doing it in our small group as a district or worldwide. Rotarians just, they show up.
Thank you, Julie. So there's lots of ways that you can ask the question, why are you a Rotarian? Why did you join? What keeps you involved? Why are you leaving Rotary? But these are questions as club president, it's important to think about, as far as how do you engage with your members on the reasons why they joined, why they stay, what they're getting out of Rotary, but also as far as how do you communicate what Rotary is? As you represent your club for the next year and for every year, it could be now, it could be later, but how do you get people to think about why they should join Rotary? What is it about your experience that you can share, whether it's the friendships that you made, the projects that you do, the impact that your Rotary Club has in your own personal life and in the local and global community. It's really important for us to share our story. And I think that's something that it's a challenge for us as far as to share the Rotary story. But think about why that is and what your story is, and you're going to connect with a lot more people. people are going to say, oh, tell me more. I'm more interested in that when they hear about that you're doing food bank, or possibly that you made lifelong friendships and you developed some connections. So your Rotary story is a very important piece. Also, real quickly, has anybody ever had a speaker not show or been late to a club meeting? Is this an activity that you might be able to do either with your entire club or at small group tables? You know, as far as when that happens, when you're club president, you're standing up there, you're like, speaker, anybody, speaker? This is an activity that you can do. And I know as far as in doing this in our club in the past, our Rotarians love hearing from one another. That's deepening that relationship. So how do we do that? But just talking through your Rotary experience and the importance of communicating that to your current members and then also prospective members. Also, this could be a great exit interview. If you have someone's leaving Rotary, why is that? Why did they join? Did they join for the wrong reason? You know, as far as were you not able to fulfill their need? Those are important questions to ask also. As far as it's great to recruit people, but we also need to retain our current members and make sure they're engaged. So with that, we are running ahead of time, which is good for us, good for you. Might be able to leave a little bit early, and hopefully Cheryl doesn't kill me for going off script too much, because I will do that. But for our next session, it's my pleasure to introduce Steve Warren. He is the co-chair of the league committee, and I'm excited about this, which means eventually he's going to be the chair of the league committee. And I don't have to do that. And you should also be thinking about that as club president. Eventually, you should have someone as PE behind you, because you want someone to follow along in your place and hopefully build it better and do better than what you did. But Steve is a recent past president. He is from the E Club of Northeast Ohio. And as far as he's going to talk about becoming an effective club president. And he's a big Indians fan. I try and tell him he should switch allegiances, but he doesn't believe me. But Steve, you're the man.
All right, thanks, Ryan. As you mentioned not too long ago, I was in a similar situation as everybody here. I found out that I'd been elected to preside over my club, and it's like, cool. And then reality set in. Oh my Lord, what have I gotten myself into? And the good news is that just like Captain Picard, you don't have to face the Klingons by yourself. In this breakout session, we're going to give you some things to think about. We're going to start with how do you plan to manage and train your club leadership team? Remember, they're volunteers and you really can't threaten to cut their pay or fire them. How will you, if you haven't already, identify and secure your leadership team? What are the expectations that your club has of you? And almost every PE I've ever spoken with has had some great ideas, some new things they want to try with their club. Every club, though, has their ancient protectors who live by the saying, well, that's because the way we've always done it. So what do you anticipate to be your obstacles to change in your club? And how do you plan to negotiate them? So those are the 4 questions we're going to work on in this breakout session. We're going to send you to your breakout rooms now and give you a chance to discuss the topics, share your ideas, and see what you can come up with. Every club is different, and there's not going to be one right answer, but maybe we can come up with some ideas and some options to help make each of you a more effective president. So we'll see you back here in about 20 minutes. Whoever's got the magic button, send them off. They're all back. All right. In that case, welcome back. Hope it was a informative and eventful session for you. We're going to do the same thing that Ryan did with his. We're going to take volunteers to discuss each topic. And if not, I have the list of attendees ready and waiting to start calling on folks. So let's first talk about plans for managing and training your leadership team. Does anybody want to talk about that to get us started? All right. Oh, saw a hand somewhere.
Ashley did.
Ashley's got her hand up. Let's start with Ashley.
Good morning, everybody. Ashley Gay, Strongsville Rotary. One of the things that I think I plan to do with my year is I've already started going to some of our past leaders and people who are influential in the club to try to figure out what was successful during their terms as president. One of the things I think that has been lacking over the last 2 years is we've been mostly in Zoom meetings and not so much face-to-face is the passing of knowledge and the passing of club history, because a lot of the things that we did every year, obviously we didn't do for the last 2 years. So we have some newer members who don't know some of those activities or know the history of why we do those things. So for me, my board, I'm fortunate to have a good mix of veteran seasoned members and very new green members. So one of the things I plan to do when I start is to connect those individuals and to hopefully have better continuity between year to year. And that's one of the main goals I have.
That's great. Thanks. Who's next? All right, start scanning.
Oh, we have Adam Sonholder.
Did you find one? Oh, okay. Adam.
Yeah, thanks,
Good
Steve.
morning.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Adam Sonholt from the North Ridgeville Club. One of the things that kind of jumped out at us during this pandemic was we had a lot of kind of bigger projects that we had kind of going on, and major things, and often involved a lot of people getting together. So we couldn't do some of those things during the pandemic. And one of the things we found that was helpful with a lot of other clubs was to have a bunch of smaller things kind of going on that are more consistent. So maybe having, a couple things a month where, hey, that second Tuesday or that third Saturday, we have certain things kind of going on. So one of my goals is to kind of get some of those projects for our club where we have some of those ongoing smaller projects to keep our folks engaged, give them a lot of opportunities to kind of get together, but also see that as a great recruiting opportunity as well, to lead with the service projects as opposed to leading with the meetings from that standpoint.
Great, thanks. Anybody else? Jennifer.
Well, I'm lucky because I have Julie and Bev on my team, and some of the other past presidents that I've spoken with from our club. But the biggest thing that I think that we're going to work on is a better onboarding process for new members to make sure that they're engaged and ask them to participate. And I had a really good onboarding process at my first Rotary Club, and I hope to bring that to the one that we have now, as well as better communication of what our committees are doing to the whole club at large.
Great, thanks. So you mentioned that you had some experienced leadership on board already. The second question, we were talking to people about how you will select or recruit leadership folks if you don't have already a great leadership team in place. What came out of that topic? Anybody want to share that? All right, I'm spinning the wheel. Let's
Dave Myers.
Oh, Dave Myers saves everybody. Okay, go ahead, Dave.
One of the things we talked about is and it was talked about Rick, the past president of the Strongsville Club, talked about that one of the leading reasons people quit Rotary or leave Rotary is because nobody asked them to do anything. So the first step towards recruiting a leader is get them involved, get them on a committee, whatever it is, and start developing that person as a club leader who gets to know others and how the club functions. So for me, it's involvement. If somebody doesn't have something to do, simply ask them to get involved and kind of let their leadership development go from there.
That's great. Anybody else?
I'm going to go ahead and jump in real quick. Dave, that's an excellent point. And I appreciate doing that. I know a lot of clubs, as soon as they bring somebody in, they give them their committees that are there and they ask them to join one of those immediately, whether they're just being a part of it or not, or they're a full participant, but at least they start doing that. I know some other clubs require a new person to sit in the committees each time. So this time you're on membership, this time you're on foundation. So they get a moment of, 2 months or 3 months to work on each of the committees so they understand what those committees are. So by the time they're through their first year, they're ready to step onto a committee somewhere. But thanks for that recommendation. That gets people involved.
Thanks. Anybody else on this topic before we move on? All right. Let's move on to the expectations that your club has of you. What do you think you're going to be doing in your year as president? Have you even given it any thought? Linda Farkas, I'm picking on you, my friend.
Thanks, Steve. I really appreciate that. Some friend that you are. Oh my gosh. Jeez Louise. Thanks, Steve. I'll catch up with you later. Expectations. Well, as you know, we have been Zoom for over a year now. And my hope is through the expectations that we will reconnect and wake our club back up. A lot of unrest with being on Zoom for so long. And as people have already mentioned, the personalization is not there and the camaraderie. So I have a challenge to wake everybody back up and bring them on board and get them reconnected and feel the sense of value and what they bring to the table. So I've got a steep slope to climb up. So I will need lots of help, and I've reached out to numerous members. So I'm excited about doing it and getting everybody re-engaged again.
Very good. Thanks. Jackie?
I'm pretty much the same as Linda. Although we have been meeting in person, January and February, we are Zooming it. But I think the biggest challenge is our president has done a wonderful job is keeping the club together. But I think a challenge for me, I don't know if the club has it, is their challenge for me is to more cohesiveness, again, getting everybody together and introducing more socials. We haven't been together really in a social because of the pandemic. And I think my biggest challenge is we're introducing 3 meetings a month, and the fourth week, a social or a service project. And so that's going to be my biggest challenge.
Great. Thank you. Let's go one more on this subject. Alex is on the beach. Let's see what Alex has got to say. You're muted, Alex. Thanks.
Sorry about that. Okay, sorry about that. We're a small club, and to address the issue of expectations, I think there's not an expectation for a huge change. I think the expectation is along the lines of let's keep doing the same good things that we've been doing and maybe introduce a new project or two. Now, that's my assessment at this point in time, but what I intend to do is get some sort of survey out to the entire membership to find out what is working and really what are the expectations. We got to hear from them and not just what my impressions are.
Excellent, thanks. All right, and the last topic we want to touch on is, all right, if you do have some new things you want to try, like Jackie's socials and things like that, how are you going to move that past the old guard? Do you anticipate obstacles, or do you have plans to overcome those? Nobody's doing anything new? Same old, got it.
We're a brand new club, so it's Gail Woodrow.
Hey, Gail.
We're a brand new club, so the world is our oyster, literally. So we're kind of making it up as we go along, but the one thing that we're going to continue is we do birthday bags for the local home for foster kids. Anybody who has a birthday in that month gets a package of balloons, not a package, blown up balloons, cake mix, frosting, stuff like that. So that I know we're going to continue to do, and everything else we're going to kind of make up.
Albert, you have your hand up?
Yes, what we're trying to do right now is we saw the benefits of going on Zoom and also the negative side of going on Zoom. And so we're going to move toward having hybrid meetings. This will help our snowbird friends also keep connected with our club. And also we could go out and get fantastic speakers to try to invigorate and inspire our membership to continue to work on projects. So that's one of the things that I want to work on in our club.
Great, thanks. Hey, Jim. Let's get you unmuted.
There we go. I got it. Sorry. Yeah, the thing we talked about in our breakout group when it comes to overcoming objections is to identify one or two of the veterans that have some influence in your club, and to get them on your side to talk to other members, so you're not going at it alone as someone individually just trying to make change in the club. So again, work with some of the folks that have some influence and have them give you a hand.
Very good. Thank you. All right. Some great responses. Obviously, there's no right answers to these questions. It's all going to vary. It's going to be different for each club and each president. Don't look now, but y'all are 5 months until your year starts. So hopefully you've been doing a lot of thinking about this already. If not, maybe today's conversations have ignited a little bit for you to think about. And, it's great to exchange ideas with other PEs. You're all in this together. Get those creative juices flowing. Later on today, you're also going to hear a little bit more about the Learning Center. If you don't know about it already, you're going to find it to be an invaluable resource for everything that we've been talking about. Identifying and training your club leaders, the expectations of you in your year as president, overcoming obstacles, and there's all kinds of great topics in there. So appreciate your input and your participation. I think it's probably best we take a quick comfort break now. Let's see, what time is it? 10:25. How about we come back around 10:30? We'll see you all soon.
Morning, everybody, again. I want to thank you as volunteers, because that's going to be our next one. As volunteers, you give up your Saturday morning to be here, do some training and learn and get ready for your year. We've been sending out some other invites for different programs, and hopefully you've been able to attend those as well. Our next speaker is going to talk about volunteers and how we have to work forward. It's a unique situation when we have volunteers in our clubs, and if we're doing projects, getting those volunteers active. So our next speaker, Beverly Strzinski, will talk to us more on volunteerism and how to handle, or what we should do when we're working with volunteers. Bev?
Thank you, Governor-elect David. So as we are waiting for the presentation to come up, thank you, Cheryl. I'm going to be talking about the slides as you are reading them. So I'm hoping everyone can see this and keep this on the speaker view for the presentation. So good morning. The president-elects that are on this Zoom this morning represent clubs of all shapes and sizes, and you represent a number of different leadership styles. Some of you are longtime Rotarians, some members of less than 2 years, and some have served as president more than once. But I know all of us are struggling with membership in one form or another, a membership that is comprised of all volunteers. Each of you in this room are leaders in your own right, And hopefully for those of you who are serving again in this capacity, it will give you a fresh perspective on your members who are all volunteers just like you. We will answer any questions you might have at the end of the presentation, so please put them in the chat room while the presentation is going on. Congratulations to our President-elect Jennifer Jones, Governor-elect David, and to each of you on such an inspiring Rotary theme this year. Please take a look at these. These are important attributes that each of you have or are a part of you. Let me address flexibility for a moment, as this word has taken a whole new meaning in the last couple of years. 1 week we're meeting by Zoom, the next we're in person, and then we're in hybrid. And some of us have gone back to Zoom, and some of them are returning to in-person meetings this coming week. This is something none of us ever wanted for you. And we certainly never expected it to be confronting us 2 years later. But you still need to be prepared for this eventuality and prepared to be flexible. Something to keep in mind when planning your monthly schedules, those new volunteer members that you have brought in during the pandemic became used to the flexibility of a hybrid or a virtual Rotary meeting structure. And all of us still need to be sensitive to those who are still not comfortable attending in person and find ways to keep them engaged and involved. This slide has even more significance today as well, especially the changing environments in which we conduct our lives and not just our jobs. For some of you, it's taken the form of working from home and at the same time supporting one or more children or grandchildren in a virtual school setting. Another important consideration as to the rapid career changes, corporations are no longer putting money into their employees' professional development, and Rotary can bridge that gap. Rotary can provide that young professional opportunities for development that they can't get anywhere else. And I know it's not easy in a hybrid or virtual situation, but it can be done. Running a meeting, public speaking, one of the most difficult things is to speak before your peers. Being on a committee or board, and the list goes on and on. Many careers have turned upside down or been eliminated by the pandemic. I know some of you have experienced this personally or have members who are now going to be facing it. And sometimes Rotary gives people a reason to get up and take back the control of their lives when life's journey isn't quite what they expected. Some clubs have a form of a career advisory committee, and that's a confidential committee that works behind the scenes with a member who has lost their job or contemplating a career change. If you have someone in your club with a human resource background who is expert in career coaching, well-connected in the community, knows how to build a resume, see if they might be willing to be part of a support system just like this. It's another great benefit provided by Rotary that you really can't find anywhere else in other organizations. So a number of clubs do this. Our family time is shrinking more and more, and that family, of course, includes our spouses, partners, significant others, anyone else you might wish to share Rotary with. This slide took on even more importance in the last couple of years, as we've talked about earlier today. This is probably one of the most important gifts of being a Rotarian. The stories of how a Rotary Club has embraced a member during a time of loss or illness are some of the most heartwarming you will ever find. No one takes better care of their own than Rotarians and their family members. I've seen those wagons circled time and time again. That to me is the greatest strength of who and what we are. It is not a part of the mosaic of your professional societies, your trade associations, or business organizations that you may belong to, but it is a part of Rotary, and that is a story to share. Many of our clubs in this district have been truly innovative in changing the face of their clubs to meet the changing needs of their volunteer members and their clubs. And we've talked a little bit about it in some of the question and answer period. Poll your members. Weekends may not always be the best time for everyone with so many activities for our children and our grandchildren. Some of you are already successfully conducting humanitarian projects in place of your weekly meetings or visiting a member's place of work or doing a cultural event, or you're going to a sporting event, places that you can bring the family and prospective members to. It helps personalize the Rotary experience and bonds us together in friendship and fellowship, and just to have fun sometimes. Remember, Rotary is a choice. Most Rotarians in the United States are a member of a Rotary Club because it's a choice, not because their job or employer requires it like it was so many years ago. We use our discretionary money to pay our dues and our meeting costs, and we support our humanitarian causes. This slide has been here in one form or another for years, whether I was talking to leaders in Rotary or another organization made up of volunteers. It also reminds me that those are considering Rotary membership, and if they ask you if they can benefit their business by joining the club, who would you rather do business with than a Rotarian? But that comes from working together on a service project or a committee, or sharing a meal or beverage at a restaurant at a Rotary after hours. People join Rotary primarily to give something back to those less fortunate. And they do business with the Rotarians because they build a relationship based on participation, developing into friendship, and resulting in trust. You know, it's easy to talk about our professions or our businesses, so why is it so hard to talk about Rotary? It can be your Rotary story or your club's story, something that Governor Larry is emphasizing this year, but the most important thing is to tell it. Is it a Rotary defining moment for you when you suddenly realize this is why you joined Rotary? Isn't that the message you want to share with a prospective member about why you've chosen Rotary to volunteer your time or donate your dollars to or share your family and friends with? There is a lot of competition with the communications you send to your members, and Rotary is not necessarily first on the spectrum of choice. For example, there are approximately 300 billion emails sent each day, and they're expecting nearly 400 by 2025. Experts recommend 50 to 125 words in length to give you a chance at 50% response rate. I write too much, always have. That's been my biggest challenge. And so see if you can keep it concise and to the point, and I think you'll get a better response. Find ways to personalize it. Handwritten notes mean more than you can ever imagine in today's world, or just pick up the phone. A couple of years ago, there was a president-elect during the pandemic, and he was working at the time, but he took the several months before he became president to call every member of the club. Every couple of days, he'd put in a call. And I have to tell you, it was enlightening for him because members shared exactly what was on their mind and the struggles they were having and the importance of their club. You don't need to do this by yourself. You can bring in your board, your officers, but do an outreach, a personal outreach. We've been apart for way too long, and this might be a way to start your new year and bringing everybody back together, because I'm really confident that you won't be disappointed in the outcomes. And this is another way to look at your competition for their intention. It's important to note that these are the monthly active users, not the registered users. This is an important piece of advice that I'm sharing with you, because sometimes things are shared innocently by someone who has your complete trust, who they think are helping you. It goes doubly for angry emails or Facebook posts. Let them sit overnight before acting on them. When you're a volunteer leader, no aspect of your social media can be considered private or separate. This will tell you a lot about your club and what is valuable to your volunteer members. You're being given a number of important tools. Some of you have already referenced that in our conversations today. Adapt them to your club demographic and take advantage of them. In my own humble opinion, it is just as important to know why your members are staying as it is to know why they are leaving. Volunteers do not have to belong. Take time to find out where that Rotarian went. What is different for them now? And if you can be of help, was there burnout? Did we ask too much of them too soon? Let them know Rotary will always be there. Sometimes you simply just need to take the pressure off and give them the time to handle the challenges within their family or in their professional life, and they will come back. And then get club members to also reach out and help you keep track of them. You know, make it easy for them to stay involved in some form, and it will be infinitely easier for them to come back just as strong as ever. And remember that just because someone is a CPA doesn't mean they want to be the club treasurer. Many are there to fulfill a passion. Find out what their passion is and how you can best take advantage of their volunteer time. So an article in Harvard Business Review discusses the importance of the B players. 20% of the B players are actually A players who don't want to be high-powered, visible stars. Think about who the B players are in your club, and don't forget to take advantage of them. It is important to be respectful of the old traditions, but you also have to create new ones. And you do that by making room for new ideas and projects from your new members. The last thing we want to say to a new member is that we don't have the time or money for a new idea, which is how they want to volunteer their time. When I was club president, we set aside some money from our foundation fundraiser and made it available to anyone in the membership to submit an idea for a new service project. But it had to also have a plan for its implementation. Our foundation trustees selected the winner, and a new humanitarian project was born. And the last one is the word no. One of the best pieces of advice given to me many years ago was consider saying, yes, that is an interesting idea. Let me think about it. What you have done is you've told this person that their opinion does matter, but it also gives you time to consider its viability. It is not easy to step back, but we all need to do it. And sometimes you have to let them make mistakes. We are not going to have future leaders in this district or in our clubs unless you have given others the opportunity to participate, to learn and grow. And I know that's what we are all trying to do. This is one of the most important roles. Never forget that you're in a unique position to make a difference in someone's life, and that comes with a lot of responsibility. I think we have all recognized the need for a kinder and gentler Rotary in the last several months. All of us in one form or another are experiencing undue stress in our lives relative to COVID, and we never expected we would still be talking about it today. We have seen Rotarians react in ways contrary to their personalities. Remember, you have no idea what is going on in their lives, and ask others who may have been on the receiving end of someone's frustration to please set it aside. And there just might be an opportunity for us to help someone in our family or Rotary. So listen carefully when you are talking to your members. This is the age-old question, especially when it comes to volunteers. You can recognize them at a meeting, on Facebook, in an email, in your newsletter with a picture of the activity. Surprise them with a family member in attendance at a meeting for special recognition, certificates of appreciation, Rotarians of the Year, 4-Way Test Award, Paul Harris Fellows. But it doesn't have to be expensive, but it has to come from the heart. I had a Rotarian ask me a few years ago why we spend time thanking people or going to the expense and effort to give them an award. And then he got one. Do you embarrass them in an email at a meeting and make sure to make them feel bad? Of course we don't. Have someone talk to them that is a friend, or simply call them on the phone. If it is a mismatch like I had in my year as president, and I had one in my year as district governor, address it early on and possibly find them a co-chair, vice chair, or even another position, but always give them a way out so they are not embarrassed. You may be surprised how relieved they are to get out from under what they had perceived as a burden. Otherwise, you may lose them. In a volunteer setting, we sometimes, without realizing it, put people into roles without properly preparing them for the job. And always remember, every Rotarian has a special gift. Otherwise, you wouldn't have invited them to be a member in the first place. Conflict can cause members to actively listen to each other as they work to accomplish the goals. It's been a difficult time for nearly 2 years, and it's going to be one of your first most important responsibilities is finding ways to re-engage and reconnect the family part of Rotary. Everybody has been under undue stress, and it is going to be on your plate, and I know you're up to that challenge. Just a few years ago, the primary reason Rotarians were leaving clubs was personal conflicts. It now takes the form of time and money, but it was personal conflicts at one point. And I found that very interesting. Just take a second to read this through. Have you ever heard the term toxic member? They aren't happy, and they will tell anyone who will listen. If you aren't the one to address the conflict, find someone who's able to resolve the situation. It won't go away, but the people will. If the conflict wasn't resolved before you became president, you don't want it hanging over your head, and you need to know that others are waiting to see if you will address it or if you're going to ignore it too. First, identify there is a problem. Then take the time to understand the issue. That's that listening tool again. And those issues tend to do with one of three things: character, moral judgments or lack thereof, competency, wrong person doing the wrong thing at the wrong time or a combination thereof, and just chemistry. Your members have opinions, and that is a fact. But once you've made a decision, the best rule of thumb I can share with you is stay with it if you can, especially in working with volunteers. And when we're running our Rotary clubs, it's not for profit is a state of mind. I learned that many, many years ago in my association background. None of us are in the business of losing money. And our members are like our clients. If we have a promise of value and it's realized, then you have a good chance of retaining that member. But it's also their responsibility to invest themselves in that value. I started referring to No Rotary Police, I think the year before I became governor. Rotary International cares about you paying dues, but they really are not involved in any other aspect. Each of your clubs are different. You operate differently for good reasons. Your demographics are different, and your leadership approach will be different. Do what you believe is right in the best interest of your club, those you lead and those you serve, and it's okay to make mistakes. Even though you are functioning like an executive of a nonprofit, you are all volunteers. There are going to be times in your personal and professional life when additional care and attention is needed. If you're not prepared for that meeting, take a deep breath and speak from the heart. Or if you can't be there to run it, ask your president-elect, another officer, a past president of the club to run the meeting for you. It's okay. You are not supposed to be there 24/7. And if you don't have a program at the last minute, we touched on this before, each of your clubs have such an incredible history of service or plans for the future for our newer clubs that I think many may have forgotten. And your new and newer members don't even know about your past service. Find a way to share that and celebrate each other. Some of you have added, is it fun, to the standard Rotary four-way test, and I love it. We become so entrenched in our traditions or habits that we forget to have fun. If Rotary isn't fun, how do we attract any type of new member? We must constantly ask ourselves, is what we are doing fun? And it's probably the most important question we can ask when you are making decisions about your club. People must enjoy Rotary if it's to survive. We work hard and we should be playing hard. For myself, and I know for so many others, I receive much more back from Rotary than I can ever hope to give. A number of you have heard me say through the years that I believe leaders serve in their roles at a particular time for a particular reason that we may not realize right away. You are that leader. You are going to be club president when your club needs you most. Congratulations to each of you. I envy you on this journey. And if I think we have time for some questions.
Thank you, Beverly. Anybody have questions? Ed? I see your hands raised.
Actually, that's a clapping for Beverly. I thought that was an excellent presentation. Really hit on all the key points that I certainly would want to hit on, especially that last one, having fun.
Yeah. Adam?
Yeah, I just had a quick comment. Beverly, thanks for speaking in. You know, I've heard you talk a lot, and every time you speak, I always learn stuff. And you always make me think as well. But what kind of jumped out at me is you're kind of comparing Rotary to other organizations, and kind of saying Rotary has a heart, right? And to your point, we talk about how we take care of our own, and that's a big part of what I think is missing. I think it's something we should communicate out there, because that's how we're very different from other professional organizations. To me, that's a big deal. And I think we've all seen that here in the last couple of years, especially in terms of just going through COVID and everything else. So I appreciate you bringing that up. I hadn't thought about it till you talked about it. So thanks for bringing that up, Beverly.
Anyone else? Well, past Sister Governor Beverly, I'd like to thank you for your input. I'd like to also thank you for your personal tutelage, because as a volunteer, you always have to have somebody as a mentor that you can go to. And she is definitely one that we can call and ask for help and support. And I know for myself, it has been an honor to have you help me out with some problems and conversations and leadership and everything that we've done in the past 5 years since I first met you. And I've one thing I've learned from her is not to say no, but say, let's consider it. Also, what voluntold means. I now understand a full understanding of what voluntold is. That's volunteers that are told that they're going to do something in a nice manner. Thank you, Beverly, and we appreciate it. Ryan? Ryan, what did we got next?
All right, so we're moving quickly ahead, which is great. So, and really kudos to everyone for showing up on time this morning. That made a huge difference for us in order to probably close out today's session earlier. We still have one more part of it and a few other announcements to make, but thanks again to Bev for her talk. Fun fact, Bev was club president the same year I was, and definitely a mentor to me as far as in the same cluster and helping me lead my club, and a great resource. And I think that's a key thing. Who are those resources that you go to when you need help? For me, when I became a club president in the 2015-2016 Rotary year, I didn't know a lot about Rotary beyond my club experience of roughly 5 years. So for me, this huge organization, that was a learning opportunity, and there are a lot of resources available, but where do you turn to? So I know we're going to send out, along with a survey, this PowerPoint today to our members for participation. We're also recording it. We'll get that edited and get that up on the district website. But there are resources available. So as far as everyone in the district governor chain is here today. So we have the district governor, the district governor-elect, the district governor nominee, the district governor nominee designate. You have a wealth of Rotary experience, probably over 70 years there, I think by my count, between those 4 individuals alone. People who have been members of multiple clubs, people who have done multiple things. You have a few committee chairs here, as far as you have Peter Tuttle and Jim Lechko, who are chairs of their respective membership and foundation committee. You have several assistant governors here, and forgive me if I'm missing anyone, but I know we have Julie Bruhard, we have Adam Sollenhalter, we have Ed Slane, and please forgive me if I'm missing someone else. But you have people who are available. And if you're not familiar, assistant governors are those who are responsible to help out the district governor, but they're responsible for a cluster of clubs. And I know a lot of those AGs have been getting people together virtually. They've been helping out as far as with the transition, but they're also people who've been in your shoes before. They've been a club president. So they have some of the better ideas that you can lean on and go through. As far as I think posted it earlier in the chat, but I know as far as the district directories are going out, as far as those are being distributed by our AGs as we speak. However, if you go on the District 6630 website, you have the district directory electronically. I know this is something that Cheryl Warren works on a lot and is ever updating it. But this is a great resource as far as if you're like, hey, who's the club president in this club? Or I heard someone make some great comments. I want to ask them about some of the socials they're doing virtually. I posed the question earlier in the chat. What are some of those socials that you're doing right now? So as far as this is a way of getting in contact with people or looking for assistance if your club's struggling with membership. Peter Tuttle is, I think, as far as got a group of about 37 membership chairs that he is communicating with and getting together. As far as that's a great resource to have right there as far as people who are doing it. And if your club's membership chair is not a part of that, that's an opportunity. I know Jim Lechko has 3 grant management seminars coming up here in February and March. And I know Dave's going to talk more about that, but again, there's a lot of resources available. Beyond that, you do have Rotary International, pretty simple website, rotary.org. As far as there's a lot of resources out there, and we've been sending materials out, how to create your own login, how to access the Learning Center. I know we're going to have a session later this spring about how to start entering your club goals in relation to membership, foundation, and service. But there's a lot of resources there. And Rotary is a huge organization, over 1.2 million members. There's resources available to help you be successful. Because the more successful you are, the more that's going to spread the awareness of Rotary in your community, the projects that you're doing, the success that you have, and then also as far as hopefully growing membership through that. Beyond that, as far as we also have several youth programs, Interact, which I would say is booming in our district, Rotaract. We have other youth programs like RILA, 4-way test speech contest, things like that. Some clubs have some specific things. But if your club's doing that, great. If they're not, if you're curious about it, reach out. We are here to help you with that. I'm sure a lot of you have heard this year about the focus on youth safety, as our district has adopted a policy and is working hard to get youth safety officers from every organization. I know some of you are pulling double duty where you're the president-elect and the youth safety officer. But we're working hard to make it a better place for our youth and our Rotarians. Quick raise of hands. How many people have participated in Leadership 6630? This is a program that Rick Pollock has been working on for a couple of years. So, I know I've participated in it. Now, curious, raise your hand if you participated in District 6630 or Leadership 6630. So, several hands. This is a great opportunity as far as for you to get involved, but also to get others involved. As I think about my experience as club president and what I went through and the work that I put in, that labor of love, I also think about the people who are there for me from my club. So the people that supported me, that were my sounding board, that I could go to if I needed to get something done. I could say, hey, I need your help. And it's important to think about those people in your club also. So it could be the current president, a past president. It could be someone else. I really challenge you to communicate with your future leaders so you have some continuity between your year and other years so that you're on the same page working towards similar goals. But those are things, resources that stand out there. You just have to raise your hand. You have to ask for help. We do our best to give you as much information as possible in a comprehensible manner, so it's not overwhelming, to maintain that fire hose. But as far as when you get stuck on something or you need additional information, we are here to help because we want to see you be successful. Another thing I want to touch upon today, the Rotary Learning Center. this was not available when I was in your role 7 years ago. This is something that's been developed the last couple of years, and they've really put a lot of work into it. So I know that about 11 of you, at least that I'm aware of, and I get reports every Monday, have completed the Club President Basics course. And I know online it says it's about 4.5 hours. I found I went through it a little bit quicker, but it's one course of probably hundreds of courses that are available in different languages if you want to practice your Spanish or something else. But again, the Learning Center has a lot of courses that you can take advantage of for yourself to get help in particular areas, or you can invite your club leadership team to take courses also that apply to the areas that they're working on, whether they're a club membership chair or something else, youth programs, youth safety. There's a lot of courses and resources available. So I know as far as some of you, I'm sure, have been on the District 6630 PE page, but we've added some of our own downloads to that page, and I'm attaching that in the chat as far as that link. But whether it's the Be a Vibrant Club or the Rotary Club Health Check, you know, as far as there's membership surveys, there's different things and resources that you can take advantage of to be successful. But it does take some work. Some comes easy, not all of it. So those are a lot of resources available. At this time, you have a lot of resources here today. We want to hear from you. What are some of those questions you have that, as far as you're struggling with? And again, you are each other's resources. I feel like, as far as that's one of the things we try and make as much during the virtual, but it's hard. I raised a question earlier in the chat, who is doing a virtual or Zoom social? And we probably had at least half dozen responses from clubs that are, whether a wine tasting, a cooking class, a holiday gift exchange virtually. There are resources. Ask each other, ask us. So certainly you can enter questions in the chat. I'm thankfully not the one to answer everything because I have resources with me here today. Or you can raise your hand, but this is your time to ask questions of us that we can help you with. David, do you have your hand raised, or is that just a thumbs up? Maybe just a thumbs up. No questions? Nothing that anybody needs help with?
So Ryan, I just want to comment that this has been very thought-provoking, and even having been a past president, I was president a long time ago, so the resources available here are significant. So for those who haven't been a president before, take advantage of those, because it's tough wandering around in the woods by yourself. So it's great to know you have a team here in 6630. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken.
Hey, Ryan, Peter. One of the things that came up in the past recently during the COVID was how to do an online fundraiser. And several clubs did that, and some perfected it and were very successful at doing it. It's something that can be carried forward into the post-COVID era. And I know that I had personally gotten several emails from club presidents this year, past year, in where to go to find out how to do that, how to conduct an online fundraiser. And that's a great question to pose, and something that could be very productive for a lot of clubs.
I'll go ahead and add on that. We, Northampton, Cuyahoga Valley, we were getting ready for our reverse raffle when everything shut down. And we were able to move that to an online reverse raffle. Now you think, how do you do that? Well, we still were able to have the baskets and gifts for people to vote on or to bid on, but then we also did everything online. What we didn't do is, of course, the food and the alcohol. So we actually charged a little less for the tickets, but we had people from throughout the nation rather than coming to our event in person. We got more people registered and actually made more funds. We actually made more money that way than we did having people live. Now, of course, we did our recent one face to face, but it is possible to do it. So,
Ryan,
I'm sorry. I just want to add, if people don't have questions, don't worry about it. Questions will come up during the year. And that's the important thing to remember, is that you have us here to answer your questions for you.
Thank you, Kathy. Someone else was speaking.
Ryan, we had a session last year at the DLA on fundraising, and there was a lot of information about virtual fundraisers. And there's a handout that Ryan, I can send to you. I think you have it probably, if you want to send out to all the presidents-elect. And there's a lot of information on there. There are even online companies that can help you set that up. Some of them take a percentage of your profit, but at least they're there to help you if you're interested in that.
Thank you, Julie.
Hey, Ryan, you were asking if any of the president-elects had questions, and I guess what I would offer is maybe something to prompt questions on their part in the coming months. And that is, giving serious thought, if they haven't already, as to their committee structure and committee chairs for their Rotary year. That can be a bit of a challenge, and oftentimes you're asking yourself, who should I ask? How should I ask them? What if they say no? What is my backup plan? If there are issues like that or questions like that, what characteristics am I looking for in a membership chair versus a, let's say, a foundation chair? There's resources available either through the district itself or the assistant district governors. There's people in their own clubs that have experience with that. And if they don't want to ask folks in their own club, then there are people outside of their club that are available. So you don't have to make that decision in a vacuum. There's people there that are willing to provide some of their experience.
Yeah, and to tap onto that, I probably last year had calls every week asking for resources. Oftentimes, and I put a list of some clubs that have done it very effectively. And by doing that, you can talk to that club, find out who they're using. And in some situations, we ran into, or we found out that one club had some software that would allow other clubs to use it. So you didn't have that exorbitant cost just put upon one club. So there are times when, peer-to-peer is great for finding these resources as well.
Pat? Thanks, Cheryl.
I wanted to add, and I did put it in the chat, that past district governors also are available, and they've had a lot of experience, just like the AGs do with their clusters. They've gone around to all of the clubs, and they've also served as president. So call on them. I mean, we're all available and eager, after we go through our year, and we learn so much during our year. It's fun to be able to share it with the members. So.
Thank you, Pat. Howard, did you have your hand raised? You're on mute.
Sorry about that. I've got a question. If you've got a existing committee member that's been there for a long time, but isn't very effective, or they're not doing what they should be doing for that position, how do you move them aside without diminishing their passion or their participation in the club?
It's a great question, Albert. So certainly others can chime in, but I think about the Cleveland Browns right now. They've got a quarterback. Some people like that quarterback. Some people are not happy with that quarterback's performance. I don't know that you can really move on from that quarterback until you have someone better in place. So that's an important thing to consider as far as, do you have someone that can replace that committee member that can do a better job? And then as far as when you do have that person, how do you communicate? And certainly others can have different ways, but like, say, are there other passions to that current committee member that they have? You know, as far as like other things that they might like to try, because you're trying to spread awareness of, as far as, you know, other people can take on different roles and stuff like that. And yes, Adam Sonnenalter, I am a big Kansas City Chiefs fan. I think Tom Brady in Michigan's out of the tournament at this point. So just saying.
Thank you.
Ashley's got her hand up.
I was just going to speak to that question. I know we do a lot of large events in our group, and sometimes you have somebody volunteer to do it, and it may be their first year, or maybe they don't necessarily quite have all the resources or tools that they need to make that event as smooth as you would hope. So one of the things that we have tried to do is make a policy to always have a co-chair. And we find that having the co-chair, or having somebody tag team that event, you don't lose that member's passion to do it, but you have the support that you need to make them successful. And it also has really helped us in the event that somebody leaves, that they're not taking all of that knowledge with them, or if there's a family emergency and they can't help do that event, that you have the support you need to make sure that event continues to be a success.
Thank you, Ashley. Pat, did you have your hand raised again? Pat Myers? No? Okay.
It's down. I hope it's down. It should be down.
Any additional questions? So whether today, and we will be sending out a survey after today's session, we do need your feedback. And part of that is, as we plan the district leadership assembly, which is part of the district conference towards the end of April, we will be planning specific sessions for that. And if there's things that you need or your club leadership's team needs, we want to hear it so that we can plan sessions that you're more likely to attend and get the most benefit out of. All right, so any additional questions before we move on?
To let everybody know, the district leadership assembly, some clubs believe that's just for PEs, but no, it's for all your committee members, whether it's a membership chair, your treasurer, public image. We really would like to get everybody together so you're working as a club to learn and move forward. So it's not just for PEs, so keep that in mind. Thank you, Ryan.
Unless there are other, Gail, no? Yes? Okay. Unless there's other questions, I'm going to turn it over to our district governor-elect, who will be your district governor during your year as club president, David Jones, to wrap us up here today.
All right, see, my lamp is coming in, making me look like a mushroom. I gotta adjust so I don't have this lamp right back there, see? One thing about Zoom. I do want to appreciate everybody that's here. We've thrown a lot at you, and over the past 6 months, we've tried to get you involved with the multi-district leadership that we've had for some trainings. We are going to go through a couple of different things that are coming up. The multi-district pets was all 5 districts in the state of Ohio got together to sort of implement some trainings. Our next session is coming up here soon on February 23rd, and our focus is going to be on public image. Now, we had a multiple district membership session that is still available. It is by YouTube. So you can get into our YouTube channel. If you didn't know, District 6630 does have a YouTube channel, and you would find those videos on there. We also did a session on foundations. So if you would like to watch and see what some of the other districts are doing throughout the state, that would be a good resource for you. A couple of other things that are coming up are some trainings. All Ohio Pets. This is for district president-elects. Some of you have already signed up. Some of you have not yet. The session is coming up here real soon. So if you haven't had the opportunity to sign up yet, please do. We are honored to have the president-elect for Rotary International, Jennifer Jones, at our commissioning ceremony. She's going to be involved with giving you your commissioning, and we have some great speakers as well. I would encourage you to get involved with that. Please do sign up. We've had about, for our district, 7 people sign up already, but we're hoping to have more. The 3 people that we see right now, Katie Spots is the first person. She's from Northeast Ohio. She's from our area, and she's going to be a speaker for us on volunteerism and passion. Of course, last on Saturday night will be our Rotary International President, Jennifer Jones. And she's going to talk about her missions, her idea of Imagine Rotary. Imagine what we can do when we start to come back together and put our minds together and do things together. A couple of the things. Thank you. We are doing a special project. I know I've sent this out. So for our president-elect's project, and we always have some sort of a service project that we're doing. We're trying to do blankets for our organization that donates blankets to kids of foster care. It's my very own blanket. They get a little package with the blanket with their name on it, and that becomes a product that they get to keep. So if you are interested in doing that, I've sent that out to you. You can buy the kits yourself. If you would rather, your club could donate specifically $10 per blanket, and we will have somebody else make those blankets for you. All those blankets will be used in the state of Ohio. They are for our districts, and each district will get an equal amount, and they'll go out to organizations that support our area. Cheryl. We spoke about the grants management seminar coming up. This is important for your club. If you're planning to do a grant management or a grant in your club this year, Jim Lechko is on here, and he was a facilitator for some of your areas. We do have 3 coming up. First one's going to be February 24th, and that's going to be here at the Summit County Public Library. These are in person, so you need to go on and register. Second one's at Middleburg Heights, and then the last one will be at Mayfield Public Library on Saturday, March 5th. Please do sign up for that. If you are planning to put in a grant, you do need to do this at least 2 members, Some clubs send 4 or 5 members. Sure. I would encourage, please think about, if you haven't done it in the past, getting involved with the Rotary Youth. Our 4-way test speech contest is coming up. We have individuals from high schools participate in the speech contest. First place is $1,200 scholarship. All the way down to honorable mentions is $200 scholarships. It doesn't take much for your club to do this. If you're interested in doing it, we have plenty of people who can help you if you've never done it before. The sponsorship, though, is $125 per student. Some clubs only send 1, other clubs send 2. That's pretty much where we're at. But it'll be at Kent Roosevelt High School here in Kent, Ohio. If you've not had the opportunity to understand Rotary Youth Leadership Awards, it's RYLA. It's held at Baldwin Wallace College, and it's for juniors to become leaders. Excellent program. If you've not had an opportunity to do that, I would recommend it. The fee is $550 per student. Basically, you choose a student that you are going to support or sponsor. They go to Baldwin Wallace University for a week's worth of leadership training, and it really helps them become young leaders. Make sure you mark your calendar for our district conference. Larry Lohman's Conference of Clubs is coming up. Also, our district leadership assembly will be at that same conference. So mark your calendars for April 22nd and 23rd. You as president-elects will participate in there. We also have sessions for your club officers, so please make sure you take a look at that and help them get trained as well. Definitely deadline, June 1st. You need to mark this on your calendar. I will be sending you out a calendar of things that need to get done at certain times throughout the year. As of June 1st, you need to be able to get into Club Runner, and you're going to mark who your secretaries are, who your president-elect will be for the next year, who your foundation chair is, membership chair. All your officers need to be in by June 1st. Make sure that their email addresses and phone numbers are up to date in Club Runner. I know with some of the PEs that we had this year, you've changed jobs. So if I'm sending out an email, it may be going to what your old email was and not your new one, and therefore you didn't hear from us. So it's really important to make sure that those officers are updating their information. You need this is new, so you need to sign a Club Youth Protection Officer. If you have not done that yet, you need to get into Club Runner and do that. You're going to log into Rotary.org, Rotary International. Your goals are going to be due by June 1st. Now, I am after the district conference. We're going to have a session. It'll be a little more laid back about how to get on and do your Rotary goals, how to log into Club Central, where to find those, and how to do that. Before you do your goals, though, make sure you're talking to your foundation committee, your membership committee. What sort of goals are you going to have? How much do you want to raise this year? How many new members do you want? Those are the goals that you want to put in there. So work as a committee to do that. June 30th, make sure you're updating all your membership. Remember, you're charged per member for your dues. So you want to make sure that if anybody has left or passed away, unfortunately, if they did, you want to update that information in Club Runner so that you're not charged extra for those. Also, if your club has had a member pass away, please let us know in the district so that we can honor them at the district conference. And you'll get more information about that. Your treasurers need to watch for the invoices. So if you have a new treasurer coming in, they'll need to make sure that they're paying attention to their email for the invoice that they'll get for either Rotary International or the District 6630. You want to make sure you're paying those online or on time, because that becomes an issue with Rotary International if they're not. And then starting July 1st of this next year, you get to enjoy your presidential year. And that goes from July 1st through June 30th, 2022. So we want to thank everybody for being here today. We appreciate your time. We know it's valuable. It seems like there's a lot of training. We as district governors have our own training as well. I've been going through training for the past 2 years, and it seems like it can be overwhelming. But if we truly are trying to be good leaders, we want to try and do that. And I know that you folks are, because you're here today and learning about what we can do to help you become an effective leader. Thank you for giving us your year. As we always do, we'd like to finish with the 4-way test. And the 4-way test basically states, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build
goodwill, better friendships?
And will it be beneficial to all?
Awesome.
Thank you so very much, and have a great Saturday morning and a great year. If you have any questions, please reach out. Thank you.